Welcome to the show. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. More on them in a bit. How's it going, everybody?
Good.
Good to hear it. Good to hear it. Well, welcome to the Daily Cup of Genre. It's LRM's Genreverse Podcast Network's premier daily podcast video. It is what it is. It's the cup of genre. It's everything. And the great thing about it is you got Manny here on the show with these amazing connections to all these great creators, creatives. And I asked him, dude, when you gonna finally bring someone onto the show? And he's just like, I'm waiting on the one. And today we don't have just one, we've got multiple ones. So Manny, thank you so much for finally doing your job. No, I'm joking. He's great. Introduce us to the wonderful guests that you've brought to us today.
Oh, no, yeah. Don't thank me, actually. Thank Shiran, Amir, and Nena for their time today. They have recently done some outstanding work on a very, very good film called Lupe. Ladies, do you guys want to tell us a little bit about it?
Well, I think we're here representing two different things. So one of them is Lupe, which is the film that I cut. And I'll let Nena present her series, which was excellent. I saw it yesterday.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm here to talk about Generation, a new half-hour comedy about Gen Z kids.
Specifically, I believe the episode, I like the title, Discovery.
Yes, Discovery.
Very fun to try to say when you do have a study yourself, but very, very fun title.
Absolutely. Do you ladies want to tell us, one by one, a little exactly what your job pertains to with each of these films?
Well, I was the editor, and it was a very tricky and unique editing process because these are first-time directors, and they very loosely wrote a script and then shot it very improv docu-style because they wanted to portray genuine feelings and emotions of the transgender community and wanted to let those moments feel lived in and real. So that meant a lot of docu-style shooting and exploring and improv and basically a pile of footage that I was given later and said to make it work.
Wow.
So it wasn't the traditional scripted drama feature experience, but it resulted in a wonderful scripted drama or in a wonderful narrative dramatic film that I'm very proud of.
I have got to hearing it put that way in the context of what you were given is quite impressive. I started doing a show here, just a list show, and I winged it, right? And wrong answer, because trying to go through my videos on winging it and finding good cuts and good takes, that is bravo to do that for an entire project. Way to go. What was kind of like what you went with? I'm trying to find the word. The certain tone or what was it that you hooked onto that kind of gave you what to find through all those cuts, through all those different takes on each scene?
Well, thank you first for your very kind words. The co-directors attempted to make an assembly themselves first, and I saw that, and basically I saw that all the puzzle pieces were there, just not really in the right configuration. So then I saw that, I put it aside, and then I recut the movie from scratch, keeping in mind the issues that I saw while watching the first time, which was making sure that there's a cohesive arc to all these unscripted scenes that are not, they don't just seem random, but that they actually build and tell a story and have a satisfying ending, and that, you know, a beginning and everything that ties together. And, you know, being true to the journey of someone who is discovering their inner femininity and coming to terms with what that means, and grappling with, do they compromise their, you know, love of martial arts to be a woman? What is a woman to them? And kind of really finding what is the movie about. And I discovered that the movie is about her self-discovery. She's searching for her sister, but really she's also searching for herself. And the movie was not called Lupe in the beginning. It was called something else that kind of became irrelevant as we discovered the movie. And I decided, well, I co-decided with the co-directors, we decided to name the movie Lupe, which is her chosen name. That just felt natural with the theme of the movie and what we discovered the heart of it to be.
Great, outstanding. That's really cool to hear.
Nena, tell us a little bit about what you're doing over at Generations, because both projects actually are up for considerations for Emmy. So congratulations on that.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, I finished Generation back in January, actually. I was one of the editors, and you know, Generation was created by a 17-year-old girl named Zoe Barnes, who didn't see herself or her family reflected, or her friends reflected, really, on TV. And so with the help of her two dads, they kind of wrote the pilot. And the story that I was given was that the dads thought this will be a really good lesson to teach her some grit. You know, she'll go pitch, she'll fail, she'll learn grit. Well, she pitched, they loved it, they bought it, made a pilot. Pilot got picked up, and we had the series. And so because this was authored by a teenager, you know, it was really important to stay authentic to that voice, but also to kind of feel grounded. And, you know, everything that went into the series was about perspective, their perspective, and always being with them. So that, you know, went from like the writing to the editing to the cinematography down to the sound and the music. So the camera was never in the same place at the same time. You know, there's no two takes that are the same.
Yeah.
It's always moving around. And so that was quite a challenge to begin with, because, you know, having edited for so long, I'm always like, no, but that's such a great line and it's not on camera. But that's okay, because, you know, sometimes teenagers will miss something because they're still trying to figure it out. So that was, you know, kind of the reasoning behind that. So there are going to be times where you're like, wait, I just heard something off camera. What was that? There's like these little nuggets that you kind of find when you watch a show. And, you know, it's interesting because I've never used music in this way. You know, Insecure was another show that I work on. Tons of music. You know, same thing for Generation, but the music is, again, to kind of like put you in the kid's perspective. You know, it's always source. It's never just use a score. You know, we don't have that comedic score to tell you, hey, you should laugh now. You know, it's always just like, okay, this is what they're listening to. And sometimes you may not know that it's going to be source until you see, you know, Chester walking around with earbuds and you're like, oh, it's coming from there. So there's like little things like that. And, you know, being that they didn't really, well, there are no 17-year-old editors to hire in the union. So all of us were very, very conscious of, you know, making sure that we're approaching dailies without kind of projecting our own emotions and judgment onto it. You know, because it's not about judging their life. It's more about like understanding what they're going through, the confusion, the awkwardness, you know, the stubbornness, all of that. So that's kind of all the different elements that went into, I guess, making sure the series is, you know, feels authentic to the teenage boys.
That's really good to hear. I was in the military for and one of the big things that we constantly get reminded as we're coming up is your subordinates, they're not from your age group all the time, and you've got to learn how to communicate, not just with them like to them, but communicate with them as in with them. And it's not an easy thing to learn the older you get. So it's really cool that you get opportunities like this, that kids, legit kids, are getting opportunities to make things like this and push some of us to our limits. So again, bravo to you on another very, very interesting editing job.
Thank you.
I think what I like about both of these projects, Generation and Lupe, is that you're both bringing to light certain groups that are very underrepresented. Over at Lupe, we're talking about somebody who's really trying to find themselves in who they are, but is also an immigrant and is also dealing with a plethora of different problems that we all go through as well. And then over on Generations, it's, even though we've been through it ourselves, because times change, we can't necessarily understand that generation before us. And so shows like this really give the opportunity to give the voice to people that sometimes feel voiceless, don't feel heard, which is what you're saying that what they were going for. And I think that's great. Do you want to talk about working on projects like that?
Yeah, well, I mean, being an immigrant, I never really feel like I belong here. And I have realized that, I think the first time we went back home, which is Taiwan, I realized I didn't really belong there either, because my relatives were like, "You're so Americanized now. Like, you got to come back more often, because, next time you come back, we're not going to have blonde hair, blue eyes." And I remember thinking, like, I don't feel that I'm okay. All right. And so that was the first time I became very aware that my Americanization, or my attempt to assimilate into this country, kind of not ostracized me, but just kind of maybe not fit in where I came from. And so that was an interesting observation. And I also don't fully feel like I belong here either. So you're kind of straddling these both worlds. And so I guess naturally I just gravitate towards shows that are always about people who may not belong. And Generation, I think, is probably the one that it really encompasses that, because it represents, the LGBTQ community. It has people of color in the entire cast. And I mean, it really is all about people that have been marginalized and don't have a voice, and giving them a platform and making sure that their stories are heard.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so it's same with, Insecure, Crazy Ex, Little America, which is all about immigrants. But yeah, and I think that's what I love about Shiran's movie as well. It's definitely, giving such a, well-deserved story, like, to see the light of that.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'm kind of a half immigrant. So I was born in New York, but when I was 8, my Israeli parents moved us back to Israel. So I was in Israel from 8 to 21. Had to serve in the Air Force mandatory service. I was an editor for the Air Force. And when I returned to LA, or I came to LA at 21, and kind of ended up feeling a lot like you, Nena, where I kind of half fit in each culture. The Israelis think I'm too American. The Americans think I'm Israeli, and don't feel like I'm fully one thing or another. And I agree. It makes it so much more compelling to cut characters who experience that. And I feel the strongest edits that we as editors make are when we're fully understanding the characters that we're editing. So that's my perspective on that. And I really love Lupe for all the messages we talked about of empowering the transgender community. The reason it came about was because the co-director's friend, Lana, or Celia Harrison, who plays Lana in the movie, they asked her, what what kind of transgender content are you not seeing that you wish you would see? And she was like, I really want to see a badass transgender, not someone who's a side character or who's being the comedic or the villain or the, victim, but the badass main role. And that's what they set out to do. And they heavily involved her in the writing. And I love that because and there's a special quote in the movie that Lana says to Lupe, and she says, because Lupe is asking, what do I do with my training, with my muscles? How, I want to be a woman. Do I have to stop training? And she says, why can't you just be a badass woman fighter and kick all the asses? And, I am so all about that. This is expanding the concept of what it is to be a woman,
No, absolutely. Yeah.
Indeed. Very, very interesting to connect the dots with your past editing in your military service, which I know is conscription, but still service and a tough job. So thank you for doing what you were called to do, I guess.
Same to you, sir.
Thank you. And but a lot of people might not know Stan Lee did something similar for the U.S. military during the World War, and so that just clicked in my mind. Here I am talking to someone else who got to do their job, so to speak, in entertainment, in their service as well, and that's just one of those cool, like, little small big world moments, I guess. Sorry.
It's true. It doesn't occur to people that you could be an editor and work on Avid within the military or within the Air Force.
It's very, very cool. And I'm amazed to see such very, very unique stories, and I guess for lack of a better phrase, almost niche stories to a degree, because not that they only relate to a small group, but they are very focused stories and showing us things that we might see on a daily basis, but not necessarily notice all of the little details that are going on in that person's life. It is 2021, and the world is very, very diverse. So we run into these crowds every day, but we don't get to see the behind the scenes things, such as trying to figure out, what do I do with this physique and this desire that doesn't quite mesh with what some think I should be if I go down this route, or playing with hectic cameras, and wow, I'm kind of jealous of the work you guys got to do.
I think it's cool that we both worked on something with very dynamic cameras that are trying to capture, realness, and it may not make our lives easier as editors, but it definitely contributes to a genuine feeling of being in the moment.
Yeah.
We don't often get opportunities like this to have great editors to talk to. So I got to pick your brain a little. What is your process when you're looking through film and to pick and choose scenes? Because I can't imagine how hard that would be.
Well, my process is I watch everything, like literally every frame, even if it's like in between resets, I'm listening, because there might be some direction that that the actors are being given that might influence the next performance. And also, sometimes when they're listening to the director, it's kind of funny, because I've stolen shots of actors who are just kind of like looking off screen, and they're kind of like, okay, listening. And it's like, that ends up being like a hysterical reaction shot for a joke, in case the actor actually doesn't react in the moment. So I'm always looking for nuggets everywhere. And I don't know about you, Shiran, but I I make a lot of different versions. Like I'll try like, okay, what would the scene look like if it's from, Chester's perspective? What about if it's from Riley's perspective, or if it's Molly's perspective or Issa's So I try a lot of different versions, and then the next day I come back and I look at it and I think, okay, there's always one that jumps out, and really just when I'm judging performances, it's what hits me in the gut, so.
Yeah, it's I really agree with that sentiment, and it kind of depends on the show you're working on at the time. If it's like a large cast that there's an option of different perspectives. In my case, it was very much the one perspective. So but yeah, it's basically gut reaction, especially on the first viewing. So you really have to kind of pay attention to those initial reactions that when you see the footage for the first time, because you're not going to get that first reaction again. And being very organized. I mean, there's different theories of how to do this, but I like to start with long editing assemblies and then cut them down and cut them down. Some people like to start it tight and then make it breathe more. So, there's various philosophies.
Interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Do either of you have a highest number of tries at a project before you got it right? Do you remember by chance? Just out of morbid curiosity, I would guess.
I do. It was actually not on Generation, even though the cameras are everywhere. It was on Little America. The episode was called The Silence, and it's exactly like as you would think it would be. The entire episode's silent. Mm-hmm. And because of that, you really could shift everything anywhere because there's no dialogue, constricting you to a certain cadence or pattern or, a story arc. I mean, there was still a story arc, but it was much more malleable. And yeah, I remember one night, I think I came up with, I don't know, 10 versions, and worked till pretty late, and my poor assistant had to output that after for the director. And that was just one night. We did this a lot. And I think I counted, it was like upwards of 50 or 60 versions.
Wow.
At the end. Yeah. And I mean, the end result was very different from what was scripted. So I think we did okay.
Yeah, that's a very, very special circumstance. I can imagine people having like a lot of takes on those like single shot moments that are like 3, 4, 5 minutes long, and having to sift through all of that for the perfect take. So, Shiran, do you have a memorable project that maybe took one more than you wanted?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I count it as ones, or because there's every this in a piece like this, it's made out of scenes and made out of moments. So you might have a version that's everything's the same except this one moment changed, or so in most of my projects have been under tight schedules, so you don't really have the luxury for a lot of versions. But actually, Lupe was 2 years in the making in post, because indie film and, labor of love. I mean, yes, there was pay, but, we all went above and beyond to make this the best film it could. So there were a lot of revisions, and because of the improv and because there's 4 different storylines that can be kind of blended, incorporated in different ways, there was a lot of what if we do this and what if we move this here, and every time you move a scene, it brings a whole new meaning to the overall. And so that breeds endless versions, basically. So over the course of 2 years, on and off, there were many versions.
So 1 million outcomes, and how many did you win?
But it's it's like crazy. Like, you know, a movie could have lived in one way for like half a year, and then suddenly I changed one scene, and it just changed the whole meaning of things.
That is so cool. Manny?
How do you handle adversity within having to deal with you? I mean, you have producers, you also have directors, sometimes you have studios, and I'm sure there's bound to be disagreements. And how do you approach moments like that?
Nena?
You know, I try to be Switzerland. I've had projects where like Little America had like 9 executive producers. That's quite a bit, and that's before you even get to the studio level. So you know, and it was great because I mean, it was interesting because they all had very disparate opinions, but it was great because they all wanted to discuss it. So it, you know, it wasn't hard getting, you know, a few of them in the room to kind of discuss, like, okay, well, your note here, I get where you're going for, but it's contradicting this one. So what's really the issue, you know, like trying to get to like what's really bumping them. And sometimes it's not even what they're noting. It's something like way before that wasn't set up right. And so it was great. I lucked out in that case that they were open to discussing that. And then other times, you know, I just, when they disagree, I kind of just let them figure it out. And there was one show where I brought in a little dry erase board. I had all the producers' names on them. And I did this little grid, and they're like, what's that for? I'm like, well, you know, when you guys disagree, you fight it out, and the person that wins that note gets a little check mark. And at the end of the season, the one with the most gets a candy bar. And they were so into it. They were like so into it. So that was kind of how I've managed to survive.
It's pretty creative.
Yeah, definitely.
It's better than Nerf guns, right? I really agree with that mentality of you know, trying to let all the voices speak their piece and let them figure it out. There's also what Nena mentioned is the note behind the note, is they might mention something, but it's really something else, and thinking of something creative that might be like a third thing that none of them thought of as the solution. Like it's very common for them to actually propose a solution instead of telling us the problem. Mm-hmm. And so their solution might not be the actual correct solution we should do, but it gives us an indication of the problem. And then if they disagree on the solution, we can just propose a different solution to the same problem. Yeah. And, you know, that whole, I kind of love that collaboration if everyone's jiving together, because it leads to a lot of creativity and discovery together of another new path. And so when that works, it's pretty fun. Yeah. But yeah, when we've exhausted all avenues, they have to just hash it out.
This is every now and then a good verbal round in the ring is needed and can solve some things as long as the professionalism can remain. Overall,
I think notes really make things better. You know, once you include more than one perspective in the editing room, mm-hmm. then it makes the overall thing stronger.
Outstanding. Manny, did you have any other questions in mind? I'm tapped out. I got to ask the follow-ups that totally took place of the boring stuff I had. So
no, actually we're approaching the 30-minute mark. So I think what's left is to thank you both, Shiran and Nena, for your time.
Thank you. Congratulations
on your Emmy considerations.
Best of luck.
And thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Yeah. We just some of the answers we get, we may be a little bit more careful when we are so judgy sometimes on our morning show about certain shows and movies.
You really don't know what the editor had to deal with. Yeah.
I have never judged anything harshly by just a single trailer. Come on now.
No.
None of us have.
Not at all.
Yeah, but talking with you ladies obviously is a different perspective that we don't get to see often, and it just appreciates some of those names that you don't necessarily see on the billboard or on the poster. And it's where the real work happens, and you put it all together to make outstanding scenes. So
thank you so much.
It has been a great pleasure having you guys on the Daily COG, as we like to call it. I had this whole thing where I still want to, where we're all like the cogs in the machine driving the entertainment industry. We all have our parts, the creatives, the behind the scenes, the consumers and stuff. But my imagination will catch up with my body one day, or the opposite. But yes, Lupe, Generation. I still love that title. Discovery is just awesome. My wife loved it, laughed at it really well. It's great. Thank you guys so much for being on the show. And after we get back from our short break, we're going to be talking about some more stuff on this Wildcard Wednesday. So stay tuned, guys. We'll be right back.
Grow Generation, where the pros go to grow. For all of your cultivation needs, Grow Generation has the right products, service and staff to make your grow successful. Go to www.growgeneration.com, where the pros go to grow.
It's almost like you magically just changed rooms and clothes and backgrounds and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So let me tell you about a first world problem.
Sure. Let's hear a first world problem.
So the world is excited today because it's Wednesday, which means you get a new episode of Loki, right?
Right.
Which naturally means I'm excited for a new episode of Loki.
Right.
Except I got to preview a couple of episodes of Loki, so I don't get a new episode of Loki today.
That is about as first world as it could possibly get.
I was so upset too last night when I got home, and I was like, I'm gonna stay up and wait for the new episode. Wait, god damn it!
Got him. Hey, I hope everyone enjoyed the interview that we just had with God, I know I'm gonna mess up her name.
Shiran,
thank you. And Nena, and the editing stuff. You're talking to two film nerds right here. Like we will talk about cinematography. I'll talk about lighting. I'll talk about editing. I'll talk about I already said cinematography. I was going to say angles and why Dutch angles are okay in small doses. So yeah, I hope you guys got a thing out of that. But what I really liked about that interview and the projects that they're working on is it kind of goes to something you and I have said several times, which is like progress has been made. People, like, look at what's on TV. Like, let's keep fighting, of course, but let's not forget the progress that has indeed been made.
And no mean we're saying to be complacent or be happy with what you have.
No, not at all.
Just look at what is available now compared to just 10 years ago, and be excited that things are changing and work is being done.
Yep, absolutely. I'll tell you what to shift away from that into something that I found hilarious. Monday, you and I talked E3. Yeah, we were like, Starfield, cool. I think that's the name of it.
Yeah.
Fallout in space. I'm down with that. That could hopefully tide me over to BioShock 4, which will hopefully be a Russian US moon base, orbital base type thing. Oh,
we talked about it.
Yeah. Dude, Nintendo technically was part of E3, and they just slaughtered yesterday and won E3 on a Tuesday with a Nintendo Direct.
See what they did, though? They waited for everyone else to go and then said, all right, hold my beer.
Yes. Mario Party, Metroid, sequel to Breath of the Wild, Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, taking us back into the skies. I know Skyward Sword was not everyone's favorite game, mostly due to like the control mechanics with the Wii. I heard some people enjoyed the HD remake where they could use the non-motion controllers more efficiently. So I'm excited to see if they could do Sky better this time. You know what I'm saying? The mechanics, how he's able to like go through the ground, and it looked really cool. Metroid Dread returned to the 2D world. Everyone knows or loves the Metroid Prime series. It always felt like something it was destined to do, but Dread is going to complete the story that was began in the original Nintendo Entertainment System game, the NES, not NES. Motherfuckers, I'll punch someone. No, I won't. I don't condone violence, but I'll want to punch people that say SNES or NES. Oh God. Anyways, and then Mario Party, dude. Like, how long have we been waiting for Mario Party to get out of the fucking shared car and run around the board again like we used to on the N64? It's been like 6-7 games of people asking for that. But yeah, I can't think of a dud that Nintendo had. But people have been ripping E3 apart all weekend and into yesterday and Monday. I don't know, man. What do you think? Do you think it's just the pandemic and next year will be more of the same, or is it like you and I thought on Monday, all of these independent studios and companies are just going to do their own thing, and E3 is going to kind of be like a commentary thing in the future, or maybe a trade show?
Well, you also maybe you mentioned it and I just spaced out for a second, but Kazuya from Tekken is joining Smash Brothers.
I did not catch that part. That's cool.
Yeah, so that was actually the first event for Nintendo that in their announcement. Kazuya Mishima, who I'm a fan of because Tekken is my favorite fighting game.
I did not know that.
Ass at
I'm
Tekken.
sure, there's only one fighting game I'm okay at, and that's Smash. And I mean, just okay.
I'm horrific at Smash. Like I think it's stupid, not because of the concept, because I'm bad at it.
Anyways,
I'm petty like that with it.
But Tekken. That's cool.
But yeah,
why
so
Tekken?
Yeah, I love Tekken. Tekken Tag, bro. That was my shit back in the day.
Because the arcade?
Oh yeah, dude. Beat that. I thought the boss was kind of weak, but whatever. Yeah, dude. I really do think that it's just the fact that everyone's doing their own thing, and the biggest thing about it, it's kind of like you see in Mythic Quest sometimes. Some of those hard deadlines sometimes just don't happen because they get behind. They're just not ready. It's taking longer than expected, whatever. And E3 sets hard deadlines that sometimes I think studios are finding out, you know what, fuck it, we're just not going to go. Or we're just not going to showcase certain things. And I think that's what's happening. And so when you do your own event, you can push it back if you want. You can not do anything, and then all of a sudden a week ahead of time, but then boom, next Tuesday we're gonna do a big reveal,
and you don't have to book space ahead of time if it's going to be mostly digital, or you're using your own boardroom for the presentation, or like Disney. I think for Investors Day, weren't they actually at the volume? Weren't they using that? I think maybe. Anyways, studios have access to studios and shit to do all of this. I had a theory that it's a demon. No, anyways, it's a Buffy the Vampire Slayer joke. I had this idea. It would never happen in a million years, but I think it would be better, and it would increase interest in the tech side of things, like the hardware side of things, as well as cross-pollinate with the software with your games and stuff. What if the organizers behind CES and E3 got together and created just the consumer electronics expo.
You might have to do that, because video games are a great way to showcase things like that.
Mm-hmm.
To oh, here's this game, but check it out on this hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Check out this this system, these monitors, these accessories, etc.
Exactly.
It's a great blend of both worlds. I think that would be great, especially like yesterday I was watching a feature on Unreal Engine and how far they've come in 3D world mapping and things like that. It was just incredible what they could do.
Yeah.
Just the way that
I love watching that tech demo on the volume with Unreal. So cool.
Just the way they're able to now really be able to put characters and backgrounds without having to not necessarily take so much space, because the issue is that usually the way you would have to do it traditionally, where you would build it, is everything kind of stayed its shape and took up so much space that you could only put so much. Sometimes one character could blow up your entire system, just because of how complicated it was. But now with the way it works and the way it kind of almost I know I'm saying it almost like in a very primitive way, but like depixelizes and kind of like as you pull far back to save that space, that's just incredible. And you also think about the way that it's being used in cinema with like The Mandalorian and things like that, where you can change a background, you can change settings on command.
Yeah.
And it's so the technology that really I would say was born for video games is now has a quite the wider application. So yeah, I think putting it together, video games and tech, that'd be one hell of a show, because maybe you even get extra people who weren't into into video games, or vice versa.
Exactly.
Now you get some gamers who have now talked to experts
on the tech side
want to build and start their own build.
Yep. And or they learn about better networking, how to set up a proper home LAN and or Wi-Fi mesh system, and how to run cables, and are you truly getting the speeds that you're paying for? How to check all that. My idea for that, like I said, taking E3 and CES and calling it something like the Consumer Electronics Expo. I would like to see like a 2-day pro trade where it's the studios are literally getting to walk around and say Origin PC has some nice rig set up, and Take-Two Interactive has a game. They're like, you know what? Let's boot it up on your system. Let's check it out. Run these, So you have like a day or two for press and the pros, and then you open it up, and there's where you're going to have new hardware announcements, as well as new software and game announcements, and you get a little bit more of the convention feel for the other two days. I see that as a I would want to do that on both. Like, I would want my press badge for the first 2 days, and then I would want my fan badge for the next 2 days. It would. I don't see E3 lasting very, very, very much longer. They don't have the comic book artist alley type thing that San Diego or New York does, to where Marvel and DC can pull out and they can still survive.
Well, yeah, I mean, like Comic-Con has so much consumerism anyway, and exclusives. Just Funko alone screws that convention. And I say that sarcastically, because I can never fucking get the ones I want, mainly because of my time, actually, more than anything else. Just another first world problem.
Can't stay in line for the toy.
I can't. No, and even with and sometimes you get now you get like an allocated time to go ahead of time. But if I have an assignment, that really sucks.
Mission first, ladies and gentlemen.
That's right. Absolutely. Exclusive second. Yeah. And then the other thing is, well, they should follow that convention path, because like San Diego does that. A lot of their anyone showcasing things, they'll have on Wednesday, they'll have preview day.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about preview day like when people actually get in.
Right.
We get there early on Wednesday and do the Amazon stuff and do some of the other immersions and things like that before it opens, so that we can get them out of the way. So that would be good for something like a video game conference, because you don't want to be in the middle of like just so many people. And then also you get I mean you get more of the industry opinion with other press and see what they think, and it's a little bit more intimate also. But yeah, I 100% agree with you. I also do not think that an E3 is going to be viable for much longer. It's going to need to merge with something or someone. Don't be surprised if it merges with the comic book convention, I think. Or if they split it, and they, especially with San Diego, even though it's as big as it is, maybe it needs to intake some more, like an extra video game maybe section, because right now, like when it comes to gaming, it's all the way to the right. All the way to the right. Like you almost got to go out of your way to get to the video game
New York
section.
I think it's down in the basement somewhere.
Goddamn.
Of the Javits Center. They had the army recruiter guys there.
Yeah, that's the right spot right there.
Yeah, and I was still recruiting in 2016, and so I went up and I BS'd with them for a little bit, and just to see what their pitch was at a big convention like that. And yeah,
you want to play Call of Duty for real, boy?
Yeah. That's kind of what they were doing, but yeah, I could almost see them maybe even doing like E3 West and E3 East, where they kind of split it up, and have some stuff at San Diego. I know San Diego and New York are different companies. You got SDCCI and then ReedPop, but the whole point is that E3 is an individual, and they can make contracts however they want, as long as the other party's willing. And yeah, Nintendo.
Well, if you want to do it with San Diego International, then you can do WonderCon and Comic-Con.
That too.
That works too.
Yeah.
So
there's options.
There's I don't know why we're not working for these people, man. Like we throw so many great ideas. We should be working for somebody at this point, but I guess we talk a little too much. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah, I've always said that I'll never ever be able to travel and visit so many of the wonderful historical places and even modern places in China, because of what I've said on about their government. But I will also wait, where were we going? I just had something. I was gonna say I was gonna not be able to go somewhere else, and it was a joke, and I got derailed by the reality of never being able to see the Great Wall. Anyways,
Kyle's brain, ladies and gentlemen.
Kyle's brain at work. Yeah, man. It was interesting. Sony. I will never get a job at, so I could make Sony so much money, but I've said fuck you, Sony, too many times, so I'll never work for them.
I've got some love for them for some of the things they've done in the past.
Yeah. I mean, the original Ghostbusters, the PlayStation.
Dude. So let me tell you this, and she's gonna be very upset I told you this, but we're gonna fix that very soon. My girlfriend has never watched either of the Ghostbusters films. That's exactly the reaction I was expecting. I told her I'm going to tell Kyle this in the morning, and he's going to die. And so the reason why it was and it was because last night we were watching on how they accomplished some of their stunts, and how they accomplish some of their effects, which is actually really,
Yes.
really nifty if you think about when it was made and the technology that was not available.
Yes, at one point, Slimer is literally a painted peanut going around the chandelier.
Yeah, they used for specifically Ghostbusters 2 during the courtroom scene where the two brothers are being supposedly executed.
The Scolari brothers,
yeah. The way that they reflected projections off of Mylar from puppets and then distorted them in order, and that's nuts, man.
It looks better than 2016's Ghosts.
It looks so good because it looks very ghostly, and then just the effects of them taking the attorney by the legs and through the door was so crafty as well, and just overall just very, very well done for its time. Yeah, and so we are going to fix that because
please do.
Because she's also excited about Ghostbusters Afterlife. But yeah, that's one of, I was like, you've never seen Ghostbusters? And she's like, no. I was like, all right, I have to tell Kyle in the morning. I hope you know that.
There would have been a serious reconsideration of the relationship.
No,
I've joked with my wife about a few movies. Her parents had never even shown her Bram Stoker's Dracula. I'm like, what? How have you never seen fucking Gary Oldman? Fucking, no, sit down and be quiet, and we're watching.
See, but I can't be that judgmental because there's a lot of movies that she's shown me that I should have watched.
Yeah,
like
I've
Full Metal Jacket's one of them.
Yeah,
and a few others that I was just like, wow, I don't know how I've never seen this.
Yeah, so it happens to all of us. You know what else?
Yeah, I mean, just sometimes there's just, I mean, how many movies out there in the world? And of course we're gonna miss quite a few.
Too many.
But so we as we go, we get to, I guess the fun part of it though, when your significant other hasn't seen a movie you love, is then you get to enjoy their first time with it. So in a way, it's kind of a blessing in disguise because then you get to enjoy something you really like, and be very very awkward about making sure that they love it. You love it, right? Right?
Yeah, you're loving this. Did you see this? Shush! Get off your phone. This part's
hey, are you watching? I need to rewind that so you can see it again. I don't think you appreciate it.
Exactly. I like that.
I don't do that, by the
way. Did you watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
You remember when he was showing God, I can't remember her name in that show, but she plays Elliot in Scrubs, Dr. Reed, when he's dating her, Sarah Chalk, and he's showing her Star Wars for the first time, and she eventually has to like send him to the room because he's doing all that stuff we were just joking about. But yeah, what's not a joke? Subscribing to our YouTube channel. It's a matter of YouTube life and death. Yes. YouTube life and death. No, please hit that red subscribe button, hit the bell so you know when all the good stuff comes out. Thank you to our sponsors. Thank you so much, ladies, again for joining us and giving us a look at your job and the Emmy nominated projects Lupe and Generation. Definitely check those out. Even if you not necessarily think it's up your wheelhouse story wise, the technical side is incredibly interesting. So yes, please do give that a look, and then subscribe to the podcast network wherever you get your podcasts from. Marvel shows, Loki Thursdays will be out tomorrow. We'll be talking about today's episode of Loki, and then of course Anime-Versal this week is the official beginning of the midnight run, the spicy anime talk, not the H word, not yet. She's not ready. Then what else do we got? Star Wars. There is a lot of Star Wars stuff. I have an exclusive piece up with comments from Michael A. Stackpole relating to the re-release of Rogue Squadron by Lucasfilm the book later this year. And yeah, of course, the website, LRMonline.com, every day. All your entertainment news, needs, and opinions. Manny, what else you got coming up?
Tomorrow, be sure to check in because despite my first world problems of not getting a new episode of Loki today, I will check my privilege now, and I will have a reaction tomorrow for Black Widow.
There you go.
So I got to check that out tonight. So I will check in and see how much I liked it or disliked it. And I know that there's a couple people at LRM. If I dislike it, they're probably going to murder me.
Well, we know who won't dislike it and who's going to call it the greatest movie Marvel's made yet. Because he does that every movie.
I will say though, it's hard not to like a movie with Florence Pugh and Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah,
because you can watch the movie and then all of a sudden go, "That was a great movie," and it's like, "What happened in the movie?" And you're like, "What?" Yeah.
Oh,
and anywho, we have also a couple more interviews for Luca, including the voice actors of Luca and Antonio and the director producer for it. Thank you, Disney, for hooking me up with a couple of those interviews. And yeah, make sure to check that out also on Friday exclusively on Disney Plus. So don't go to the theater trying to find that one because it's not going to be there. The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard Part 2 is also out in IMAX already today. And that's also should be checked out. I didn't even realize that was a sequel, which shows you how sometimes I am an uncultured swine. But oink, oink, it's okay. Yeah, so all that and more. And then also, of course, tomorrow we have our live show.
Yeah,
should be fun.
Should be fun.
Yeah. By the way, guys, we make this up as we go along. We literally talk about show notes 5 minutes before we start.
Well, sometimes there's a big story that'll hit, and we both know that's on the table.
Like Batman not going down on Catwoman.
Like Batman not getting his licks in, man. That's just sad.
Right.
That's just sad. I'm so happy with that. Like that's what the showrunners, the show creators, writers, and whatnot wanted was jokes like that.
If you think about it, what's really, really great about it is that last year at this time we're all doom and gloom, right?
Yes, very true.
And it was, it's the year that we know that shall not be named. We shall maybe go as far as doing that, but all of a sudden, like yesterday was a big day for California. The mask mandate got lifted, and what was the story the day before? One of the headlines on Twitter: DC doesn't want Batman to go down on Catwoman. I was like, that's the story of the day. We are making progress back to normal.
We are making progress indeed. Thank you guys so much. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Woo!